To bring the Magic Roundabout to life, the many worlds of the movie had to be created in sound as well as pictures, which is where the mysterious and magical craft of the Foley artists came in.
This is the Foley stage for Magic Roundabout.
As with most animated movies, there's no live sound recording. Every sound you hear, both big and small, has to be individually created.
Well, Foley emphasises all the small elements in a normal action feature film. The Foley enhances things like what hands are doing, what clothing is doing, objects in the scene. Foley brings everything to life. With something like an animation, though, there is no natural sound as such. So what we're doing is emphasising all the small little things, plus very big things also.
I think an important element of this soundtrack is the weight of the characters. Those things benefit from cinema sound. They're extraordinary. You know, you've got big giants wandering around, and every time their feet hit the ground, the camera shakes, and you hear this extraordinary noise.
I'm going to do some footsteps for the giant skeleton. So I need a surface that he's walking on. Basically, it's concrete. So I've got a nice concrete tray here with a little bit of dust stain on it. And he's huge, so I'm wearing big boots, not because he is, but because it gives me more sound. What we're going to do is actually attach a small microphone to my leg, so when my foot hits the ground, it vibrates up through my leg, and Nigel will record it on his desk with a special magic film gizmo, and it'll make me sound a good 30 tons. The whole studio is full of holes. Each hole has a different kind of surface in it. This one's plain concrete, sand, we've got grass, we've got bricks, we've got every kind of surface that anybody would walk on, basically, underneath the floor here. And whenever I need it, we'll just take up a surface and I'll walk on it.
A great majority of the film is on snow, and to recreate that sound, we've had to use many different substances.
Have you ever played with custard powder? If you play with custard powder, you get that kind of weird, snowy, creaky feel. And you start with that. That's how I tend to start.
Yes, and then we mix that with other stuff and get some really interesting sounds.
The dry ice will crack the normal frozen ice, and so you get some lovely splitting ice noises. If I twist, I'll twist and manipulate the chisel, so you get. It's an atmospheric track. Now, a lot of these sounds, although it looks like me just dropping a piece of ice into a tray, when they've been taken away from this environment, given to an editor and then placed on top of the pictures of the ice cracking, these individual sounds will sound fantastic.
So should we try the chisel first? One of the beautiful things about working on a Foley stage is there's lots of scope for experimentation.
We've got a collection of props here, and Pete will go through the props and figure out, a little bit of this, a little bit of chain to jangle, an old lock to kind of maybe add a metal feel, then a bit of old table to kind of put a bit of wood in there. And you really build it up as you would imagine in your head the recipe for that particular sound would be. Okay, Pete. Here we go. Okay, do the train sequence again, yeah.
And at the moment, I'm creating the rattle track as sound effects for the train. Basically, what I'm doing is taking the elements of the train. He's made of wood, so I've got plenty of wood. A nice boxy metal sound for his body. So, I know it doesn't look like a train, but the basic sound will be the same.
At the moment, we're trying to create some lava sounds for the scene where train is crossing over the crumbling rock causeway, and for that we're experimenting with dry ice. In front of us here we have a kettle filled with dry ice, and Pete has a jug full of boiling water. Pete, what are you going to do with that jug of boiling water?
Literally, just pour it onto the dry ice. The dry ice is going to react violently with the hot water, make a very bubbling, cauldron-y type noise, and I think it'll be perfect for the lava.
There is a kind of magic about this thing. If you think we're just taking an ordinary kettle and some ice and some dry ice, miking it up using some technology, And when you see this in the cinema, that will be shaking the auditorium, that little kettle. It can be loads of things, strangest things in the world, but put them together and then add what I do, which is to kind of, sometimes distort the sound and play and synthesize the sound a little bit to make it sound a little bit unreal. And you can do real magic. It's extraordinary. It's still, I've done it for many years, and it still makes me kind of very happy at the end of a good day of creating stuff from, creating magic from nothing, from bits of old junk, really.